your LinkedIn profile. And we're going to go through some top tips here. And, one of the key things when I first started a number of years ago now, LinkedIn was in its infancy. So, I was still out there, treading the balls, meeting a number of treasurers and getting to know people and things like that. And here we go. You had a personal brand. But it wasn't actually that. It was actually originally your reputation. You built it up, you go meet people, they get to know you, they'd ask you about the different work you've done and everything else. Fantastic. Now you can build it up in seconds and you can destroy it in seconds. I mean, you've seen it a number of times. I think, someone puts out a tweet, ill-advised tweet or something like that. It's destroyed. Someone who has been, doing a great job for 20 years, puts out one tweet, ill-advised or anything else, it can be ruined. So you need to be careful with it. It needs to be protected. And if you no longer have a personal brand, you have to make it powerful. But how do you make it powerful? What do you need to do? I'm not looking for a job, Mike. I don't need a job. Well, no, that's fine. It's not about just looking for a job. Everybody can see your personal profile. And you could take a career risk, because what you want to do is, I've had a number of times, Chris, who was one of our guests on our show in the past, he was actually heavily involved in the AFP, great treasurer. He wasn't ever looking for a job. But what he did was he built up his profile on LinkedIn, and then opportunities came knocking for Chris. And what he found, he was a treasurer, and then he was approached by a law firm. They said, look, we want a CFO. And he's like, well, look, I'm not actually looking for a role. They said, no, but we've seen your profile. What we like is we want to make sure, we want you on board with us. We want you to come and join us. So the job came knocking for him. Before the Windy City Summit, one of the years actually started, I was at one of the evening parties, and we were meeting a number of the interns that were going to help us with the sessions and everything else. And there was one of the interns came up, and I said, and he was saying, look, I'm all right. I've locked everything down. I'm careful on my Facebook now. I'm looking for big roles with some of the big corporates. So I'm all right. I'm absolutely fine. I said, okay. Could you do me a favor, Jeff? And he was, yeah, of course. I said, could you go get me a beer? Would that be all right? Just grab us a beer. He said, yeah, no problem. So he went off, queued up, got a beer, came back 2 minutes later. I said, Jeff, how was Tijuana? He was like, what? Tijuana? I was like, yeah. Was it good last year? He was like, yeah. How do you know that? And I said, I use a little known search tool called Google. And he was like, oh my goodness, how did you find this? I went, I just did a search. And he was like, oh God. And what had happened is he'd been tagged in some photos by one of his friends. We have to go back to his friend, and you have to be careful because it is a public media. So it's social and it's out there all the time. Okay, so let's focus in now a little bit on LinkedIn itself. It is not just a job site. Yes, there are jobs there, and it is one of their major revenue streams, but it's actually a professional networking site. That's one of the key things. What you need to be thinking about is a great sales tool for yourselves. And this next slide, comes from a guy that you probably never heard of, Mr. Bezos. And he actually said that, I think he did actually, as one of his phrases. And I agree. It's when you're not in the room, this is what your brand is doing for you. And people will see your brand via LinkedIn. They'll see what you represent. So you have a nice photo, good profile and everything else. And we'll come on to the different elements about it. And it says here what you're not, what people are saying about you. But I think it's more than that. And this is one of the key things. It's what people are thinking about you. And it's what they believe about you as well. So they're talking about you, they're thinking this, it's more ingrained than that. So you actually, when you're seeing a good, strong profile, or, perhaps you're going to one of the conferences, you will be checking that person out on LinkedIn before you're seeing them as a speaker. You'll be thinking, actually, do I want to watch this session? And you'll be making a judgment call, if you like. You'll be thinking, actually, yes, this is a person I want to listen to. So let's go through the elements of your LinkedIn profile. As I said, it needs to be powerful and it needs to be strong. So you create a powerful headline on there. You're all treasury specialists, so don't have it on there. What I want to see is some uniqueness. What I want to do is see why you stand out. We actually did this and we looked at passionate and creative. And I did this, a show of hands, how many people have passionate in the audience, and loads of hands, how many strategic. But these are the most overused words on LinkedIn. And actually, when I was showing people, they were like, right. We came up with some alternative words they could use. and things like that. Well, actually what it came down to was a little bit more granularity, if that was the right way to put it. It was about this. It was about definable stuff. So it was about if you're really good and how much you might have saved. You know, we go back to achievements and things like that. This is one of the key things. It's, you know, bringing out, if you like, what makes you different. So what have you done in your job? So taking a moment, and again, you might be sitting there, you know, at your desk now. If you could just take a moment, pick up a pen and just try and jot down how much money have you saved for your company in the past year? Just take a moment. Just take a moment and think, if you're coaching members of a treasury team, what have you helped them achieve in the past year? So have they grown? We've been everyone's been working from home a lot of the time, working remotely. How have you got through that? Just take a moment, just a few there, just a couple of words and things like that. Put those into your LinkedIn profile. Make yourself stand out a little bit. So these are your so what moments. Now, this is when you're thinking about as well, can you hand that piece of paper, say you're a treasury manager and you work alongside another treasury manager. If you were to pass that piece of paper across that treasury manager, could they say the same thing? If they can, then it's nothing. It's worthless. We want you to be showing your uniqueness. What's your individuality? Why are you special? Why are you different to the person next to you? Well, Mike, because I, saved this, I implemented a new system and it was mine. And one of the key things I heard about actually was one of my clients. They were, again, this talks about the social aspect of treasury. They were by the water cooler, they're having a coffee. And one of the people was talking about, that they were doing this daily cash report. And somebody else said, oh, I know about those. And they, no, we know about cash reports. No, I know actually a way of automating that a little bit with a, AI bot that I saw recently at a conference. All right. So next thing you know, they've actually implemented this AI bot and they implemented it for their treasury team. And then they rolled it out globally to their 8 treasury stroke cash centers. So every day it was taking one person in each of those centers every single day, about half an hour to an hour, some of the time, to produce this report and to get it out and then share it globally. They implemented this AI bot. It saved the time rather for all those people globally, that 8 hours to click, boom, click your mouse, boom, automated, went out to everyone, a snapshot of exactly the cash position, a little bit of tinkering here and there, but probably taking a couple of minutes every so often with any glitches, solved. So everyone had a clear cash position for that company globally at any one time. Incredible information, but the time saved. And that was 2 treasury professionals. So one, implemented the idea, one came up with the idea, brilliant, put it on there. Okay. So the next one, photo on your LinkedIn profile. Now, should you have one? Yeah, there you go. It's your virtual handshake. I had this at one of the conferences, and one of the guys said, look, I'm not very photogenic, Mike. I don't really want a photo. I said, when was the last time you walked into a bank meeting, turned your back to everyone and all the people in there and said, hello, I'm Patrick. Hi, look at me, da, da, da. You don't do it. What people want to do is they want to be welcomed to you. So they want to actually, know who you are, know what you do, and actually go, do you know what? That's someone I want to work with. And this is your first impression. And you only get one chance to make that first impression, as you know. Now, squashed head look, let's just go for that. When you put your photo up, it's really difficult, I know, to put it up via a PC or laptop, get it up on there, great. And then how hard is it to pick up your phone and look at your own profile? And see, oh, hang on, it's resized the wrong way. My head has gone all squashed. No, it's not hard at all. It takes you 10 seconds. And there are so many that I've seen are either squashed or turned at 90 degrees where the person's at. And I'm thinking, really, and these are professional people. Your first impression is a negative impression. Absolutely bonkers. We don't want to see that. What we do want to see is a professional photo. There's only so much you can do with it, I know. Rather than, seeing me drinking a beer. You know, we'll do that when I'm next over in Chicago, but that's actually not for here. We don't need that. Okay, I want to keep going. I know there's a lot to absorb, so we will be sharing all these slides and things like that. So next one, friendly, approachable. Sorry, not having a laugh beer. Ask for recommendations. Now, on your profiles, we have actually recently ourselves been pushing out, doing a lot more testimonial work. We've been saying, look, we want to get these. And why? Why have we been such a big push on it? Well, I did this with Joe, who works for me in my office, and I said, Joe, because he couldn't really understand it, he was struggling to get his head around it. I said, Joe, have you ever used that website called Amazon? He was like, yeah. I said, you know, when you go to buy a product, have you ever looked at the star rating? Yeah. And I said, I know there's a lot of problems with bots and stuff. They're trying to clean it up. And he said, yeah, I always check those, always look at it and stuff like that. I said, oh, great. Have you actually met the person that done it? I went, no. Oh, it's like, right. So, but you trust what they're saying? He's like, yeah, I do. I said, so that's what you need to do. You need to actually get out there and make sure that you are, you know, getting recommendations because people trust them. Now, when you're getting recommendations, what I would say is don't get them from your colleagues as such. The colleagues sitting next to you, because hopefully they're going to say something positive about you, and unless you've not bought them lunch recently or something like that. What you might like to do is get from, say, an ex-boss, something like that, someone working above you and what you were like and to coach and to train, or vice versa, someone that's worked for you. And what are you like as a boss? But people have said to me, why should they build a network? Well, these are some of the reasons. This networking grows with you. It provides you more opportunities. More people see you. If you look at a new treasury management system and you've got a great, powerful network of 10 people, you're not going to be able to ask too many people about it. Ask 100 people, ask 1,000. It's going to make it a lot easier for you and access, as it says there, to industry news and everything else. Now, who are you going to connect with? Can they help you and can you help them? If it's someone that's randomly connecting you to, nothing to do with the industry, don't worry. If you reject them, they don't get any notice about it. They basically, I only connect to people I feel within the treasury industry or related industries because it means that I'm going to be able to provide value to them as a person. If you're going to reach out to people, how do you do it? First of all, personalize the message. So you've met someone at a conference. And again, Chris, who I mentioned earlier in the show, he actually, whenever he would go away from talking to someone or meeting someone, he'd grab their business card and he'd say, oh, I met this guy at Windy City. Oh, it's his daughter's birthday and she's just about to go to Northwestern. Oh, I went to there. Oh, I could tell her, you know, maybe look at this district of Evanston where you might want to live and things like that. Amazing. Also might be, oh, actually that guy, I want to build up a further relationship. Maybe you can meet for coffee. Drop that in the email. Say, Bob, great to meet you at Windy City. Love to connect. Good luck to your daughter. And, you know, maybe we can meet next time you're downtown. Amazing. Great connection request. Personalize your message. And why? Because if you don't do it like this and you just do a generalized one, it's actually going to get you barred. You know, people will actually, if you tend to send too many impersonal invites, it's basically going to say, no, thank you very much, and give you a bad thing. So these are the people you might want to connect with. People you meet at conferences, networking, recruiters. Feel free after this to connect with me. I'd love to help you. Someone you might admire, current colleagues, former colleagues. It's good to build your network and just do it on a regular basis. Again, we'll come back to that later on the show. And what would you do within that network? Again, we're going to skip through. Share your content. Keep, acknowledge someone changes their status. A good way to do it. Just say, oh, well done if they've got a new job and everything else. It just elevates you a little bit. Don't forget, showcase what you've done. You guys, I'm sure, have done a lot of presentations in the past. You can take out confidential information on there. But if you presented about an implementation, if you presented about how you've expanded, how you've managed a team, put it on there. Put up the PowerPoint. It looks great. And it actually shows people what you're doing as well. You're the chief promoter of your career. No one else is going to do it for you.